Eden Care UK is a friendly intervention service providing support to people who are terminally ill reaching end of life. We advocate for a high quality of care and enhanced life choices, and challenge the isolation of elderly people through friendship and social activities. This service would not be possible without your support. Please donate edencareuk.com or call 07957 199 328.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম। ও আমার বোনজি, তাইনোর আব্বা আম্মা নাই, আমারও তো ঠিক নাই বিয়া দিবার। আর তাই তোরারে দিবানে আমরা দোয়া করবনি, তোরা সাহায্য করছো।
Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yesterday, we received a call from Medina University, Saudi Arabia. A brother contacted us and said his father passed away due to COVID-19. He's unable to come because of travel restrictions, and he's asked us to help him organize his father's burial. Inshallah, with your help and support, we are going to fulfill the obligation of burying a brother or sister in need. We are expecting a significant rise in referral to Muslim Burial Fund, specifically in relation to COVID-19. It's impacting the people in the UK and around the world. Inshallah, we expect your help. We are also helping people with telephone helpline, telephone befriending support. We are also giving these protective suits to the funeral services up and down the country. We need your help, brothers and sisters, especially with the burial support of those most in need. Jazakallah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
আমি তোমার প্রিয় হতে চাই, আমি তোমার প্রিয় হতে চাই, আমি তোমার প্রিয়।
আমার নাম জামিলা, আমি ক্লাস 7 পড়ি। আমার আব্বা আম্মা মারা গেছেন। আব্বা মারা গেছেন 3 বছর আগে, আম্মা মারা গেছেন 2 বছর আগে।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, innal hamdanillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiatina a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa nashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum viewers, wherever you are, big greetings and Ramadan Kareem once again, inshallah. We are again hosting another show, Ask the Imam. Just wanted to remind the viewers, inshallah, the Ask the Imam show brought to you by Eden Care UK and Muslim Burial Fund, the program of 13 Rivers Trust. Inshallah, on the screen you will see the informations, the donation links. Please kindly support the good work the charity is doing, inshallah. Inshallah, we have with us my co-host. My co-host is
Ibrahim.
My co-host is Ibrahim, inshallah, and he will be asking some serious questions about our deen, and so that we understand our deen properly with our respected guest, inshallah. If I can quickly introduce to our Sheikh today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh Abdullah Hassan, how are you?
Assalamu alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, I'm okay. How are you, okay?
I'm okay, alhamdulillah. Thank you, Sheikh, again for being with us today on another episode of Ask the Imam, inshallah. Sheikh, how is Ramadan? How's Ramadan going so far?
It's going.
Alhamdulillah,
Going
alhamdulillah.
Going fast, subhanallah.
It's going fast, alhamdulillah. We are on 5th day today, isn't it, inshallah?
Yeah.
Sheikh, inshallah, could you kindly enlighten us with important nasiha about some aspect of our deen, inshallah?
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasul Kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I want to briefly touch up on the reminder to myself and reminder to everyone else is what's listening. About the concept of taqwa. I know we all have heard about taqwa, and we listen to lectures and talks about taqwa, but I want to try and come from a different, slightly very different perspective. Taqwa, we know, comes from the word wiqaya, which means protection. It's a shield that we put around us. So it's an armor, right? It's an armor coat that we put around us. So it's like a citadel or fortress, big fortress that we build, we erect in front of us and between us and any challenges or difficulties that may come our way that will challenge our deen and challenge our existence in this life, and also our eternal bliss in the hereafter. So it's a protection. The purpose of Ramadan is to develop the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he begins a sentence or begins a verse with Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu or Ya ayyuhan nas, one of two things happen. As Imam Al-Azib ibn Abdul Salam, he mentioned that two things happen. One, first thing is either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us or invites us to do something good that is pleasing to him and is good for us in this dunya, also in the hereafter. Yeah, any sort of khairat. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after mentioning Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu or Ya ayyuhan nas, right, he prohibits us from doing something that is harmful to us and which is displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and harmful to our existence in this dunya and also our existence in the hereafter. So taqwa has two components, right? Two components. The first component is a encouragement to do good, right? The other component is a discouragement to stay away from or encouragement to stay away from any prohibitions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, taqwa is an inclination, a desire to do what is pleasing to God and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what will benefit us in this dunya. And on the other spectrum, it's abstaining from or distancing oneself from anything that is harmful to the believer, harmful from the perspective of his theology, or his psychology, his spirituality, and his general well-being in this dunya. These are the two components of taqwa. So Ramadan, how does Ramadan help in that? Right? How does Ramadan help in that? Ramadan is a time where we detox. Ramadan is a spiritual boot camp, right? We detox. We the bad habits that we've been accustomed to, we try and forgo them. We try and get rid of them from our system, and we develop good habits, positive habits, right? Habits are something, either sometimes, for example, one habit could be, eating, right? As an example, some of us were working during their day, working really, really hard, and at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, we realize that, hang on a minute, I need to eat, or I need to eat, and so this is a biological habit. This is a habit. Instinctively, we know that we need to eat, right? There are other habits that we learn right? And there are some habits which are conditional, right? So the habit that I mentioned, for example, we need to eat, right? We need to sleep, for example, certain times. These are unconditional habits. They are sometimes biologically built within our system by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are other habits that they are conditional, right? They are conditional, right? Pavlov, the psychologist, he carried out a number of different experiments with different animals and rats, and he showed that human beings, animals in particular, and also human beings, we learn certain habits. Our society, our parents, our peers, our friends, right? We learn habits from them. So Ramadan, before in the month outside the month of Ramadan, we learn certain habits, and the month of Ramadan, every cell of our body fasts because we're not eating during certain part of the day, where our sleeping habits change, our drinking, drink water, everything changes, right? What this allows our biological body to do to develop new habits, because those bad habits, people looking at bad images, for example, people imbibing alcohol, for example, these are bad habits that harms us and prevents us from doing good thing, prevents us from being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a when, for example, when people look at bad images, pornography or whatever, right? Dopamine in our brains is released. Dopamine is like it's released, and it always seeks pleasure, right? Desires and pleasure, right? Certain parts of our brain which seeks pleasure. So when we look at those images and a dopamine release, and we get pleasure from it, right? People get pleasure from it, and the more that person enjoys, right, more the dopamine is released, and they get used to it, right? So they have to watch more, and they have to drink more, and they have to do more, and they go into what is called a dopamine loophole. And this is how addiction happens, right? That's why a lot of people, they're addicted to social media, they're addicted to watching certain things. They become addicted. They can't, it's like a drug for them, right? The month of Ramadan, right, when we get rid of those bad habits, when we suppress our nafs, right, we discipline our nafs, we suppress our nafs, right, and it's easier for us to do it in the month of Ramadan for a believer, for a Muslim. Serotonin, which helps us to develop, it's all develop good characteristic, good behavior. It makes us feel better. It makes us do good things. When a person, for example, when you hug another person, you release serotonin. And it makes us feel better, right? So when we're doing the month of Ramadan, those different actions, whether we're reciting the Quran, for example, going inside the mosque for Taraweeh, we feel better as Muslims, right? When we do dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we feel better. Serotonin is released, and we develop a liking for those things, and we develop good habits, right? So this is what the month of Ramadan does. So taqwa, essentially, as I mentioned, is inclination, and there are different degrees, there are different levels. People are different levels. So I'm going to mention what is called Ramadan Taqwa Index. Ramadan Taqwa Index, right? In the Salaf, the scholar, they mentioned that after the month of Ramadan, one of the signs of acceptance of the month of Ramadan is that you don't go back to your old habits, right? You don't go back to your bad habits. You develop more good habits, and the habits that you develop in the month of Ramadan, you increase in that, and you develop a more deeper connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this, take a scale 0 to 10. 10 represents, right? Imagine the most pleasurable things that you do in this dunya, right? You can get any, eating chocolate, for example, yeah, or being intimate with your spouse, right? The most pleasurable thing that human beings can think of. That's 10, and 0 is the least pleasurable. After the month of Ramadan, take the ibadah salah, for example, if, right, when the time for salah comes, when the adhan goes, when the iqamah goes, ask yourself how you feel. Do you feel it's a burden I have to carry out? Right? I'm doing it. I'm giving sadaqah. I'm doing salah. I'm doing this because other people are doing it. I'm going to Taraweeh because other people are doing it. But, or do you feel that you feel pleasure doing that? And what in that scale, that index, what number are you? You want to be as close to as 10 as possible. 10 is the most obvious ideal, right? 0 is the most least. But if you start on 0, that's fine. That's not a problem. But you want to go, towards 10. On the other hand, right? Remember, that's the one component of taqwa. It's how you measure your taqwa. Yeah, it's not scientific. It's not objective. This is something that it's how you measure your taqwa. How you measure your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? The other spectrum is you take the scale from 0 to 10, right? And 10 represents, as the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ said, that the most hated, like the highest level of iman is a believer hates being thrown inside the hellfire. So that's number 10. Detest and dislikes that. And 0 is the least disliked, right? So before you approach, you look at that image or that person, yeah, or you get into argument, or you do something reprehensible in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? In the month of Ramadan, anything, right, that is reprehensible in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is prohibited in Islam. Again, before you do that, you look at, okay, if you've done that, where do you put yourself in that scale, right? If you put yourself at 0, that means you're addicted to that, right? You're addicted to it. If you put yourself, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10, then that means that the more higher you are, the higher level of iman or awareness or connection you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. So hopefully, slightly different understanding of what taqwa is, and the most practical understanding of taqwa is given by the companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he asked Ubay ibn Ka'b, what is taqwa? Ubay ibn Ka'b explained, if you were to walk on a path and that path is filled with thorns, right? The way you would cross over that path, you would walk very carefully. You tread very carefully, right? You take your step very carefully. You lift up your garment, right? You would avoid this spikes and thorns, right? Because it's harmful for you, right? Those spikes and thorns is harmful for yourself, harmful for your family member, harmful for your society. How? As a basic example, you walk on a spike. You cut yourself. You cut your feet, right? You'll be in agony. You'll be in pain. Your family will be in agony and pain, yeah, because your family will be concerned about you, right? And that can lead to other things. And then you go to the NHS. The NHS already is strained, right? The NHS will be more in difficulty. So in one way or another, those negative action that you carry out, yeah, the negative actions and deeds that is reprehensible in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you carry out has a direct impact to your own spirituality, your own well-being in this dunya, also in the hereafter, but also others. But the positive deeds, right, has a positive reaction or impact in your own spirituality, your psychology, in your well-being, as well as your family members and society at large. This is what taqwa is, right? You benefit, obviously. That's why Allah says, save yourself, right, and your family from the fire. So from a Muslim perspective, we don't look at our own selves, right? We look at society, how we can also benefit our society, how we can benefit ourselves, benefit our family members, and also benefit our society. So taqwa it's a living thing, right? It's a living thing, right? You can be praying inside the mosque, for example, every single day, right? And then when you go out, you do all sorts of weird things, and you don't enjoy the good and forbid the evil. That's not taqwa. Yeah, that's being selfish. So we have to look at taqwa from a holistic perspective, inshallah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us among those who are trying to achieve the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to develop awareness of him in this blessed month of Ramadan.
Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Sheikh. Really appreciate for your important nasiha. Sheikh, Ramadan obviously is not just a refraining from food and then you sort of, you mentioned in your nasiha that it's not just refraining of food, it's that the entire body, the whole limbs of your body actually worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that itself is a testimony for us as well. Like we are totally 100% without a shadow of a doubt that we're submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his cause, for his to get his pleasure, to get his pleasure, to attain his pleasure, inshallah. Especially this month of Ramadan is a training month, and then this something really teach us an important lesson as well. You know, what we are doing in the month of Ramadan, there's so many things that we refrain from. This should be really, really replicated throughout the rest of the years. And this is what I think the summary of the Sheikh just mentioned about the taqwa, the God consciousness. Wherever we are, whatever we do, inshallah, we should remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us, and then we will be accountable to him, sooner. Sheikh, Jazakallah khairan once again. If we can just have a quick ad break, and then inshallah we're going to resume with some questions. Just before we go, I just want to remind viewers, inshallah, you can call us on the number on the screen, inshallah, or you can always put a comment on the Facebook live page, inshallah, and then we will read out to the Sheikh, and inshallah Sheikh will clarify, will answer your queries. The number is 0208 123 4507. Inshallah. Let's just have a quick break, and then inshallah we'll resume shortly.
Eden Care UK is a friendly intervention service providing support to people who are terminally ill reaching end of life. We advocate for a high quality of care and enhanced life choices, and challenge the isolation of elderly people through friendship and social activities. This service would not be possible without your support. Please donate edencareuk.com or call 07957 199 328. 480,000 cremations take place every year in the UK. Some of these cremations sadly include Muslims. We offer burial support for Muslim reverts who are vulnerable and alone, including an Islamic will service. If you or someone you know is worried about not receiving a Muslim burial, then contact us today, muslimburialfund.co.uk, or call 07957 199 328, a project of Muslim Burial Fund.
Thirteen Rivers Trust presents Ask the Imam, live on Facebook, brought to you by Muslim Burial Fund in association with Eden Care UK and Select Aid. Guests include Sheikh Solomon Ghani, Hafiz Abul Hussein Khan, Imam Abdullah Hassan, and Imam Zubair Kareem. Join us this Ramadan and learn your deen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers, sisters, and kids. I didn't see you there. And did you know what is happening this Ramadan? I mean like this Ramadan 2021. Actually, I, Tamjeed Al-Qadir, will be hosting Young Muslims to Learn. So why don't you stay tuned for more? So you might be wondering, when is the time? When is it? What day is it? What time is it? Tell me more. So inshallah, I will be doing that. So the timings will be every weekend weekend in Ramadan. Saturday and Sunday, weekend. In Ramadan, the times are 6 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. That is where I will be. And you might be like, okay, yes, that has helped us, but how do we join? So, if you want to join, you can go onto Facebook and search 13 Rivers Trust. Or you can go into Facebook and type in My Ramadan TV. Or if you're not on the Facebook type, you might go onto YouTube and search up My Ramadan TV. So that is where you'll be finding me. And Jazakallah, and I hope to see you all. Kids, remember this. I hope to see you all on Young Muslims Talent. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Ask the Imam show. Inshallah, we have with us Sheikh Abdullah Hassan. Inshallah, the viewers can ask Sheikh Abdullah Hassan any questions regarding our deen, inshallah, and hopefully the Imam, the Sheikh, will answer your questions accordingly. Sheikh, I have some question, inshallah. Some question, and I think it's relevant for viewers and for myself, and inshallah, the ummah. In salah time, quite often, a lot of things, like especially we know that some of the wajibat, if we forget, then we need to do sajda sahu. What if you forget to actually do sajda sahu in your salah? What happened to your prayer?
So if you forget to sahu in prayer, you have to, do the sahu. So you stand up and you do the sahu. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. I have another question, inshallah, Sheikh. Is there any ruling about not paying off your debts and spending on yourself? So I hope the question is clear. So if somebody's got any debts and instead of clearing it, they're just spending money on themselves, what do you say about? What's the opinion on that?
So someone is
in debt. Someone borrows some money from somebody. Yeah.
And is spending. Obviously, that's wrong. If someone has a debt, then they should pay the debt before they spend money on themselves. Because a debt, if a person dies without paying that debt, that person will be sinful, right? And that person will not be entered into paradise until that debt is paid. So it's important that that debt is paid as soon as possible. Yeah.
Okay. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Just reminding viewers, inshallah, please call us. You can talk to Sheikh directly on 0208 123 4507. You can always comment on the comment box, inshallah. If I can quickly ask Sheikh next questions. What is the ruling on completing the Quran collectively? What does the Sharia say about it? So the question is, like, we often see if somebody deceased, if somebody dies, somebody passes away, few people get together and then they say, let's complete the Quran.
Yeah, that's rewardable. It's recommended. It's good to do.
So would you say collectively reciting Quran in the intention of completing the Quran and all the rewards, inshallah, dedicated to the deceased, is this allowed?
Yeah, it's allowed.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan.
I mean, I'm just asking a rhetorical question. Why wouldn't it be allowed? There's hadith to that effect, as well as scholars, even Ibn Taymiyyah and others, they mentioned isar al-thawab. Right. For example, doing good deeds. So if you give charity in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your deceased parent or anyone, right? In the hope that they will benefit, right? That's allowed in Islam. No,
Okay. Jazakallah khairan. That was one of the questions actually forwarded to me, and I thought I will actually put it on, address it to you, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. This is a month of Ramadan, and a lot of people are going through some of the hardship. Of course, some people are unwell, and as a result of that, doctor recommending them to give blood test. And if they are fasting, and when they give the blood test, what happens to their fast?
So if they're fasting and they give blood test, yeah, fast is still intact. It's fine. Right, you still continue fasting. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't invalidate, break your fast.
Okay. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. I have another question. If someone has a sexual intercourse with his spouse forgetfully, meaning obviously they both forgot their fasting, what was the situation? How do we deal with the situation? I mean, that's quite serious, and these things often may happen.
Yeah. So if obviously we have the hadith of the Prophet that someone eats or drinks while fasting and he forgets to fast, then that's Allah. He stops eating and drinking and continues to fast. Yeah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gave him the drink and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has fed him. Similarly, in this, if a couple for some reason they forget, right? They forget inshallah there's no sin upon them. Yeah, they forget and they had it could happen, right? Highly unlikely. Yeah, highly unlikely, but it could happen. And the scholars, they mention these examples coincidentally, right, in the fiqh books, right? So if they forget, then there's no sin upon them. Yeah, obviously they have to stop and they continue the fast, right? But there's if they for example continue and if they remember they are fasting and continue, obviously that's sinful. Yeah.
Should they need to do qada of the fast?
Ideally they should do a qada of the fast. Yeah.
Okay. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Well, I have another question actually forwarded to me, and I think it's probably relevant as well. If this question is relating to children, we know the children's at the age when they actually reach puberty. This is when the fasting is actually forced upon them. What if they are not on puberty, but they reach on certain age, for instance, age probably 11 or 12? Would you encourage parents to encourage their children to fast, even though if they haven't reached their puberty?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good for children to learn to fast and pray. Yeah, so even if they have not reached the age of bulugh, maturity, it's always encouraged the parents to train the kids to fast. So obviously they should they shouldn't be pressured or forced, right? That would be wrong from Islamic perspective, but they should be encouraged. They should be given, encourage them to fast, and also showing them that perhaps you fast half a day. For example, with my children, I say to them, they're young, very young, right? Why don't you fast half day? Yeah, and then let's see how that goes. So we have to habituate our children to all that. So then I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's encouraged for us to do that, inshallah.
At what age would you actually encourage children to fast?
I would say 10, 11, 12. Yeah, because 10 the age of bulugh, right? But even then we say don't force them. Yeah, don't force them. The school, primary schools, they understand, the teachers, they understand that sometimes Muslim children need to fast. So my child, who's 10, the eldest is 10, we don't force him to fast. We encourage him if he can fast, but he wants to fast, right? So age of 10, 11, 12, you should try start definitely praying and start fasting. Yeah.
Shukran. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Just reminding viewers, inshallah, you can always call live, inshallah, and then you can speak to the Sheikh, and the Sheikh, inshallah, will answer your questions. You can always comment on the Facebook comment box, inshallah, and then I will read out to the questions to the Sheikh. Sheikh, we are living in a very challenging society, and often we see sometime in a family environment, children and parents, they do have a bit of they don't get on well. The question actually I was forwarded is it okay for children to raise voice to their parents on respectful way? So, like, for instance, if the parents are not listening certain things, but it is wise for them to do, but children are sort of shouting at them, screaming, raising their voice a little bit. But we do know one of the hadith Prophet ﷺ said, do not even say oof to your parents. I think that's really, really important. If you can clarify that, Sheikh.
Yeah. So I think it's about the context. It's about how we understand that particular verse context, right? Obviously, you should not harm anyone, let alone our parents. We don't raise our voice, be rude, offensive. That goes without saying. But we also know that human beings are human beings. Even their parents, they may make mistakes and they may do certain things that are reprehensible in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You still should use maw'idatul hasana, good preaching and wisdom. But sometimes you have to be assertive. Yeah, assertive does not mean that you be rude. Some people might assume that if someone is assertive and confident, that person is rude, right? No, sometimes you may need to be assertive with your parents if your parents are doing wrong, right? But that I add a caveat that unfortunately there are some people who, wrong does not mean that difference of opinion among the scholars. It means that sometimes you have to educate your parents. Yeah, sometimes children do educate their parents. So it depends how you do it. Not hurting the feelings, and I counsel youth and adults, and they complain that parents, they've been doing this for 20-30 years, they're not listening. What do I do, right? And some parents, they take advantage of the children. They blackmail, emotional blackmail. They say, oh, look, the hadith.
That's wrong.
Right? They do that, and that's wrong from the parents, right? And they don't realize that what you're doing, blackmailing them, emotional blackmail is haram. Emotional blackmail is haram, right? So you have to look at the context. Doesn't mean obviously the children they should raise their voice and be rude, and that's wrong. But being clear and assertive sometimes is needed. Yeah, hope that makes sense.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Someone actually made a comment in the comment box. Is Taraweeh, is it 20? Is it 8?
These are all discussions. You can pray 20 rakats. There's a hadith. You can pray 8 rakats. There's hadith. Whatever your local mosque prays, whatever your local mosque, your local imam, the local mosque, they decide to do, you follow that. You'll be rewarded. The more you pray, the better, obviously. Right? So there's nothing. Because of the COVID-19 now, most mosques are doing 8 rakats. They're not. I think I haven't heard of any mosque doing 20 rakats and khatam. All the mosques, majority of the mosques, they're doing 8 rakats, and they're doing it within 1 hour, right? And they're not doing khatam of the Quran. Yeah, so which is perfectly fine. So there are opinions, 20 rakats, 8 rakats. There's opinions that you do 30 rakats or 33 rakats. Yeah. So whichever opinion you follow, whichever mosque you follow, is perfectly fine. We shouldn't be arguing about this. Learn one opinion and take an opinion, right? Follow your scholar, follow a madhab, yeah, and follow your local mosque, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. What you mentioned about if the local mosque, whichever mosque people go to and pray, if they do 8 rakah, just complete your 8 rakah, then you don't really need to do additional rakah. We often see some of the masajid, like even if they are doing 20 rakah, or maybe not necessarily maybe this year, maybe previous years. The mosque actually doing 20 rakah, but half of the way we see some of the musallis, some of the Muslims, they actually leaving halfway, like maybe after 8 rakah, after 10 rakah, after 20 rakah. Is this allowed?
Yeah, it's allowed. I mean, it's up to them. Taraweeh is sunnah. It's not wajib, obligatory. So if someone wants to pray 2 rakats or 4 rakats, 6 rakats, 8 rakats, 10 rakats, it's up to them. Obviously, now we can't because of the lockdown, but we shouldn't, we should be clever and take the opportunity to pray as many rakats as possible in the month of Ramadan behind the Imam, because the rewards are high, rewards are immense. But if someone were to leave, it doesn't mean that they are sinful. Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're blamed. At the end of the day, sunnah is, those who do not do it and they go out and waste their time, this is wrong. Yeah. But if some people, they need to leave because the next day they have work, so they can't stay up all night and they need to recuperate and sleep and eat and go to work, right? And working is also ibadah. So we shouldn't judge people. Everyone has their own circumstances. There are people who are, alhamdulillah, they've got a job in the mosque, like some imams, where it's very easy for us imams to say, increase your ibadah, don't go to work. Well, you're getting paid for this. Yeah. Essentially, right? You're getting paid for this. You're getting paid for doing lectures. You're getting paid for, I'm not saying it's bad, right? I was an imam, full-time imam, yeah. But it's easy for us to, as imam, to say, okay, tell people, but well, people got lives to live. People got jobs to do. People got other things to do. There has to be balance, yeah. So not everyone is the same. Not everyone.
Yeah. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We're going to inshallah conclude in maybe a minute or two, because I think iftar time is approaching really, really fast. Just wanted to pick up it's just a quick clarifications on these ones. We see, I know it's a month of Ramadan, the more ibadah we do is multiply, so many folds. If any of those people they leave salah after halfway, and then they don't actually, and then they're going to do their daily things, like maybe we've seen many times, like outside of the mosque, or like bazaar area, shopping area, and all that, or all the other area, not necessarily they worship, not necessarily they're going home. What would you advise? I think these things quite often happens to especially the youth. They live halfway and then they actually hanging with their peers outside.
Look, as I said, it will be unwise, you will not be prudent, you will not be clever for you to leave the mosque in the month, right? And while you go and socialize and mix and mingle and backbite and whatnot, that's reprehensible. That's discouraged, definitely. So personally, and would advise people obviously not to do that. To go, if you're going to leave, if you're tired, you're going to leave, go to your house and sleep. Yeah, because the sleeping will be your intention to recuperate. That'll be ibadah. But if you go out and you do this and do that, we can't say it's haram. Yeah, but it's something that is not encouraged. Something that encouraged, right? But what I would also say is that, so look, the youth. You mentioned the youth. There are youth who don't attend the mosque at all. There are people who don't attend the mosque at all. They come to the Jummah, they come to Taraweeh. Yeah. Now, if they want to pray 2 rakats or 4 rakats, 8 rakats, and they want to go and socialize, have a cup of tea on the bazaar, who am I to stand in the way? I would not discourage that. Do you see? Because let them come. They've got their foot inside the door of the mosque. Now you want to make them super Muslims. Right? You want to make them like for the Qadi Iyad and Imam Malik, Abu Hanifa. Shay'an for shay'an, step by step. Let's take it slowly. Yeah, we should not judge our own circumstance with, and compare others. Everyone is different. But I agree that unfortunately there are, some mosques, people do come and they go and waste and they go disturb their neighbors. We should be mindful of that. We shouldn't do that, right? So everyone is different. But it's nice. I see it when people after Taraweeh or after 8 rakats, whatever, right? there's people mingling, and then people talking about Islam, and there's bazaars, you know. It's nice, you know. At least it's not bazaar of dunya, you know. At least it's not, you know, people are not, you know, free mixing. Yeah. So everyone is in different stages. Someone who is an imam, who's cooped up inside the mosque 24/7, doesn't know what is happening outside, is very different from someone who's working, a social worker, working in the community, and is different. That also is ibadah, and you being in the mosque is also ibadah. Different types of ibadah. Yeah. Like we're in the month of Ramadan, we should be extra vigilant. Come to the mosque more. You know, do itikaf, recite the Quran, do tarawih and tahajjud. Yeah. And the other extreme is that some people assume that, you know, I'm going to be, you know, spiritual by becoming an activist. Yeah. No, you have to recharge your battery. Yeah. Hope that makes sense, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Yeah, we're gonna conclude the show today, inshallah. Okay. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan. Sheikh, before you go, it's iftar time. If you can kindly make a quick dua, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair for everyone listening, inshallah, and watching. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم أنت الأول فليس قبلك شيء، وأنت الآخر فليس بعدك شيء، وأنت الظاهر فليس فوقك شيء، وأنت الباطن فليس دونك شيء، وأنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر، لا إله إلا أنت، ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم فرج هم المهمومين من المسلمين، اللهم فرج هم المهمومين من المسلمين، ونفس كرب المكروبين، واقض دينا عن المدينين، واشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا تقبل صلاتنا وصيامنا وقيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, Ask the Imam show will be back tomorrow. So viewers, until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.